Alrighty, we are live. So it is really, really exciting, and I feel very blessed to be part of this global summit. I'm just going to see when my live comes up in the group so that I can share it on my page and hopefully get more people. Well, I won't be able to share it on my page, will I? Because people aren't part of the group. Hopefully they're going to join us in this group. So it's great to be here. I'm really excited to start talking about life as a parent. So let's jump into it. I can see people are joining. Give me a wave, say hi, tell me where you are. Tell me if you're parents or not. And the interesting thing that I'm going to be talking about is we're all parents. Yeah, we're all parents. We're all parenting all of the time. Yeah, all of the time, because we parent that smaller version of ourselves, you know, that little person inside who is still there with us every step of the way. So parenting just got a whole lot more challenging. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Ariel. Well, look, I can see you all. So it is great to see you. I can see you starting to wave. Parenting just got a whole lot more challenging, yeah? And that's not just us who are parenting the outer children, but us who are also parenting the inner children. And why? That's what I want to really talk to you all about today. And first, I wanted to say a big, big thank you to all of the embodiment practitioners that have been part of this summit, all of the sound journey practitioners. Hi, Alistair. All of the somatic practitioners that have been offering some incredible gifts over this summit so far. This is the last day of the summit, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And I'm thanking you all. And why am I doing that? Because you're continuing to invite me into my body. Yeah, into my body. And I'm eternally grateful for that, because it's an invitation that I wasn't awake to for many, many, many years. I'm just waving at people. So my initiation into my body, yeah, was becoming a parent. And because it was the first time I'd really actually done something of any magnitude, right, with my body. And, you know, I'm sure that you'll agree that squeezing something the size of a watermelon out of something the size of a, you know, is of great magnitude, right? It's of great magnitude. So my name is Jacqlin Richards, and I am a parent mentor. Yeah, and I work from my home in Auckland, New Zealand. So I'm in lockdown in my living room, and I'm going live lockdown living room today. So I work with men and women who are parents. Yeah, and I also work with men and women who are not parents. Yeah, as in don't have children. However, what I'm seeing is, that we parent all of the time. We parent that smaller version of ourselves, which I've mentioned already. We do that every single day. Yeah, we do that every single day. So I'd love to share a little bit about my story, because I had a bit of a bumpy ride into this, outer parenthood gig. Yeah, when I had my own kids, it was a bit of a car crash, if I'm totally honest with you. I could see the debris of my former life all around me. Just wave if you get me. Someone's saying absolutely. And I could see those pieces of my former life, waving at me going, yeah, remember? And it was totally like being in a car crash. And at the beginning of my little fella's life, I had a boy. And at the beginning of his life, I ended up in hospital for 3 months with severe postnatal depression and anxiety. And we were there together, and I am eternally grateful for this institution, this unit, this mother and baby unit, because I didn't even realize that those places existed, and they're out there in the world catching women like me who go in through these car crashes, at the more severe end of the spectrum. And, I'm really, really grateful that these places existed, just super grateful. This was a mother and baby unit. Ooh, me too, lol. Yep, I hear you, Moni. Moni, I hope I got your name right. This was a mother and baby unit in the UK, and that's where I lived at the time. Yeah, so that place caught me, and I'm eternally grateful. So why did I end up there? Yeah, why did I end up there after this car crash initiation into me becoming a mother? Yeah, because everything that I'd been refusing to feel, everything that I'd been avoiding, suppressing, squishing down, ignoring, putting a lid on, you know, all of that stuff, yeah, it came up to the surface through the process of birth. Yeah, and essentially all of my shit came up and said, hiya! So that's what happened. And I got, you know, it was a bit of a shock, to say the least. You know, apart from the debris of my life all around me, it was a bit of a shock when all of this stuff came up that I'd been hiding from, that I'd been suppressing for years and years and years and years. Now, I got a truckload of therapy in that place. Yeah, one-on-one therapy, group therapy, art therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, you name the therapy, I got it, right? It was all, you know, it was talking therapy, because that is what was available at that point. Yeah, this was almost 12 years ago. And I got all of it because I wanted to get well. Yeah, once I knew what it was, I really, really wanted to get well. Because I couldn't exactly run away anymore, could I? I couldn't run away. I couldn't escape. I couldn't self-medicate. You know, all of my historical coping mechanisms, you know, and I had a few, were no longer available. Yeah, they were no longer available to me because I had a newborn baby. Yeah, I couldn't exactly strap the little one on and drink myself into oblivion. So, well, I could, but, you know, I was breastfeeding, wasn't I? So, you know, all of those old coping mechanisms, those old ways of doing things, of escaping, you know, I couldn't do because I had a baby. Yeah, I had a baby. And anyway, I'd given up those less than ideal addictions, so that I could have the baby. Yeah. Oh, someone's saying snap. I hear you, sister. Great reason, right? That's why I had a baby. Because I, you know, wanted to get away from that lifestyle. You know, of course, I wasn't conscious 14 years ago, pretty close. I wasn't conscious of this at the time, yeah, that I wanted to have a baby to get out of my London party girl lifestyle, you know. I wasn't conscious of that all the time, at the time, because I wasn't really conscious of much at that time. It was a question that I'd finally asked myself when my oldest boy was, you know, almost 7 years old was the time when I finally asked that question. When I asked why. Why do I want to have kids? It's a really good question. And I didn't ask it till 7 years after the event, almost 7 years. Now, this is a question that I ask all parents now and all parents to be, yeah, because it's a really, really good question. And the answers are quite enlightening, yeah. I'm lucky I had creativity as an outlet. Yes, I hear you. Finding that outlet, right? The answers to this question, the answers to the why are really enlightening, yeah, if they're answered honestly. They're also, you know, they're also quite telling about the parent that you're going to become. And, you know, so many of the answers that I get now, well, you know, it's the thing you do, isn't it? It's the thing you do, you know, once you've got the good job and you've got the partner and you've got the car and you've got the house with the little white picket fence around it, you know, it's the next checkbox on the list, yeah? That's why you have kids, isn't it? That's one of the reasons that I hear a lot. I only went through with it because she wanted them. I didn't want to lose her. Yeah, I heard that one a lot. Oh, yes. I don't really know the answer to that one. But what I really want to know is, why doesn't he ever get up in the night and help me with the kids? Yeah? Because he didn't really want them. So this is the question, you know, really getting clear on the why of why did you want to have kids? Why do you want to have kids? And I mean, let me know who's watching at the moment. Is that a question, if you've got kids in the outer world, not just talking about your inner child, but is that a question that you had a discussion with your partner around before you actually had them? Because it certainly wasn't one that I asked. And this question can be applied to pretty much everything in life, right? It's not just about children. So your why, yeah, getting clear on your why. So now you know my why, yeah, that's my why. Yeah, I'm just reading your comment, Moni, and I totally get that one as well. So and I'm going to speak to that in a little bit, that comment, which is really good. So so now you know my why, right? This is my desire to shift completely away from my destructive coping mechanisms, yeah, as well as being a little bit of a band-aid, yeah, for my relationship. You know, if you've ever heard the saying, a band-aid baby, you know, like the cracks were forming or becoming, no, they were becoming more visible in my relationship, or more like giant chasms, like a giant chasm in my relationship. You know, all good. We'll just put a little plaster over that, you know, a little band-aid in the form of a baby. Yeah, baby is not a band-aid for your relationship. Trust me. Yeah, it's really not. And it's out there, you know, it is so out there, and it's happening a lot. So after about 2 years, yeah, of serious talking therapy and medication, I managed to get myself to a place where I could function out there in the world, where I could talk myself out of, yeah, and this is going to go back to this comment, this gratitude for the embodiment practitioners and somatic workers, you know, workers out there, practitioners doing their thing out there in the world. Because with the talking therapy, I got to a place where I could talk myself out of the thoughts. Yeah, I could talk myself out of the thoughts that I was having. Hey, Zane. You know, I could talk myself out of how I felt, but it didn't change the way I felt. Yeah, it didn't change the way I felt deep down underneath it all. Now, I'm not dissing talking therapy because I think it's incredible. You know, it's definitely a piece. But what I found through embodiment, what I found through finding my way into here, you know, years later, absolutely blew it out of the water. Absolutely blew it out of the water. And it came together with it. It could walk alongside it. And that's what I'm really, really interested in. So after chucking my job as a corporate architect, I used to be a corporate architect, which is interesting because now I work with parents. I moved back from New Zealand. I moved back to New Zealand, from London, which is where I had my kids. And my marriage fell apart in the process. Yeah. And during that, I got a bit curious. Yeah. I got a bit interested because I wanted to know why all that happened. Yeah. I really wanted to know why when I became a mum, my whole world as I knew it fell apart. I really wanted to know why. So I got a bit curious, I got a bit interested, and I found out. And that's what I want to share with you today. So what I found out was that there is some kind of button that gets activated when you become a parent, right? And I searched my entire body for this button, and I came to the conclusion that the only place that it could be located is on the inside of the vagina. Hey, Zane. On the inside of the vagina, right? And the baby pushes this button on their way down the birth canal, right? I mean, it could be a lever, but no, someone might get caught on that, yeah? So it's definitely a button. So you'll be noticing that I put a bit of humor into my offerings, yeah? I playfully offer this stuff because I did serious and intense for years. Yeah, absolutely years. Yeah, you looked up serious intense in the dictionary and there's my face. I did it for years. It was my default and I owned it. And it really didn't help my life as a parent. It really didn't because, you know, the language of children is play. And, you know, we have that child inside of us always, the outer one and the inner one. So it really didn't help me. So anyway, back to this vagina activation button. Not the button that activates your vagina. That's a completely different button. This one activates a completely new reality when you become a parent. Yeah, life as you knew it is gone, right? Life as you knew it's gone because your baby has activated what my mentor would call what my mentor calls the family trance. So Keith, if you're watching, honoring you, the family trance. I like to call it autopilot parenting because we totally nosedive into this, right? When that button is activated, we totally nosedive into this alternate reality when we become a parent. And what is that reality? Because that's what I really wanted to get interested in. I'm just reading some of these comments. Yes, I hear you. I did too. I'm just looking at yours, Moni, when you became 4, and I wouldn't change it for the world either. I'm so pleased that I got through all of this. Um, so, so when we become a parent, right, this activation of the autopilot parenting that we nosedive into, what is it? Yeah, what is that reality? It's when we become our parents. Yeah, we become our parents. Yep, I became my mother. My husband became his father, and our relationship became just like my parents. And yes, this happens to a degree before you become a parent. When those, when those words sort of spill out of your mouth, and you think, "Oh my God, that was my mother," or "Oh my God, that is exactly what my father would have said." Yes, that happens before we become a parent, but after that vagina button is activated by a baby, it's like up leveled. Right? It's up leveled. It's like next level, off the charts shit. And I hear you. You might be saying, but I'm nothing like my mother. Yeah, I'm nothing like my mother. And I couldn't be more different from my father. And I get it. Yeah. You might be saying, I'm the complete opposite. Yeah. We become our parents, right? Or we become a reaction to them. This is the interesting thing. And when I found this, it was just like, everything sort of dropped in and began to make sense. So we either are applying our parents and the way that they did things, or we're reacting to them and the way that they did things. Yeah? Either an application or reaction. Hey, Naila, nice to see you. And what I experienced in my own journey, and what I'm seeing out there in the world is that neither of those, the application or the reaction, are particularly authentic or actually very helpful. And when this happened to me, I was horrified. I was absolutely horrified when I saw it, that is, because my behavior was so unconscious in the beginning. It was really hiding. And it was really hard to spot. And once I spotted it, then things started to get interesting. And that's when I really wanted to know why. So apart from these, these obvious kind of mannerisms or, things that fall out of your mouth or, the way that we react that takes us back to our parents or way of dealing with things. Yes, I became the reaction. I hear you. Oh my God. Hi, Deb. So apart from those obvious things, that I could see, that I could clearly see my mother in me, what else was there? What's another kind of example that I found? And this one that I'm going to share with you is the biggest that I saw playing out in my life. And it was around parent roles. And this is huge out there in the world. Because my husband and I were partners. We were 50-50, right? Everything was 50-50. We were a team. We were in this together. And we were going to share the load and share the care of the kids, 50-50, hands on mum, hands on dad. And then wham, we had a baby. And then we did the complete opposite. We did the complete opposite. All of that intention went out the window. Why? That's what I wanted to get. That's what I wanted the answer to. That's the bit that I was interested in. Because my mother became a single mum when I was very little. I think it was before I was the age of 4. Very, very early on. And I became one before I even was one. So I became a single mum when my husband and I were still together. Yeah? And that's the piece that I found really, really interesting. And it's huge, and I see it everywhere. I see it absolutely everywhere out in the world. Because I had no reference point of how two parents parented together. I had no reference point because I don't remember seeing it. I don't remember ever seeing it. I don't remember ever experiencing it. And even when my dad was around, he wasn't involved, right? He wasn't an involved dad. He certainly wasn't a hands-on dad. And there's no judgment there, which I'm going to talk about a bit about later, because he was raised by a household of women, because it was during the war. So he had no reference point either. So, how many co-parenting relationships do you know out there in the world? Single parent families, blended families, are out there in the world today. It's a really significant number, yeah, and growing all the time. So, I was a severely depressed mother, right? Who was a corporate architect, okay, over to the other end of the spectrum with that one. And now I work in parenting. So something must have shifted, right? Something must have shifted over the last number of years. Yeah, generational programming, absolutely. And it did. Something did shift, and it was huge. Yeah, and when I found this, the support, I found awareness. Yeah, I found awareness to see that I was simply replaying exactly what you've said here. I was simply replaying the programming that was buried in my subconscious. Yeah, I just was replaying it. Yeah, the button had been activated. I playfully use it in that way. This work is so important, Mama. Thank you for bringing it with such clarity, lightness, and depth. Well, the lightness is so important, because these are such big topics, and they can be, they can become really serious and really intense. And to deliver them with lightness is such a huge gift, I feel. So thanks, Nala. And so what was I saying? I was saying, about it being buried in your subconscious, right? And as you're saying, Moni, generational programming, absolutely, these cycles, yeah? And so I found awareness around this, and thank God I did. And that's how I found out about the program period, yeah? The first 7 years of every single human's life is the program period, yeah? It's and when I look at it from another aspect, and in the animal kingdom, us humans don't have many instinctual behaviors. Yeah, we have very few. We're born with a suckle reflex. We can breathe. We can poo. We can cry. There's very few instinctual behaviors, and everything else is learnt. Yeah, everything else is absorbed. Everything else is downloaded in the first 7 years of life. Hi, Sarah. In the first 7 years of life, this is information that we download as children, that we need to know as how to fit into ourselves, how to fit into our environment, our families, our communities, how we fit into our world. And it's downloaded. Yeah, it becomes like our operating system. Yeah, because I like computer jargon. It's really accessible for everyone. So it becomes like our operating system, yeah, this tape player that we replay over and over and over again. And if you look at the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's totally one of my heroes, he talks about this, the first 7 years being the program period of when we download, we absorb all of this information through our feeling bodies, because we don't understand all of that information. We don't understand all of the relationship dynamics between us and everything else at that early age. But we download all of the information, and it becomes part of our tape player, right? And then we go and replay it. And this is what I find so fascinating to understand, because it just gives us so much more awareness about what we navigate as humans, and what this download or this absorption gives us, yeah, during those first 7 years of life, when our kids are totally in that, our kids and us as kids are totally in that imagination. Hi, Mark, in that imagination zone, right? They're all in their emotional body. They're feeling it all through their bodies. And what we get when we're kids in that first 7 years is how we relate to everything and everyone in this world. Yeah, all of that information is downloaded during that time. And every single one of our relationships, yeah, to ourselves, our partners, our friends, our children, the planet, yeah, our relationships with money, with food, with sex, the list is endless. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. Yes, I'm just reading your comment, Rosella. Absolutely agree, and it's such good information to get before you go into this parenting journey. And it's also completely relevant when you're not a parent, because this stuff is still the same. We're all part of this. When I opened this talk, it was discussing that we're all parenting all of the time. And yes, Moni, I had to completely rewrite mine. Absolutely. So every single one of these relationships is a reflection of our primary relationship, right? Which is a parenting relationship. Every single relationship we go on to have our entire life is a reflection of our primary relationship, which is a parenting relationship. And that becomes our subconscious programming, right? So which we play over and over and over again throughout the rest of our lives. Hey, Atlas, good to see you. Our thoughts, our feelings, the stories that we tell ourselves, the beliefs that are lying underneath all of those, they become our patterns, and we repeat them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So, what can we do in all of this? We can bring a damn sight more play. That's for sure. And we can get conscious on that subconscious sucker, right? We can get conscious on it. And there's so much more, capacity to awareness and consciousness these days. It's just, we're sitting here. I'm in my living room broadcasting live to an incredible summit that's got 30,000 people that are accessing it. I mean, we have so much more capacity and access to incredible, way of getting information out there and way of receiving information. So there's so much more that we can do to get conscious on that subconscious sucker. We can throw a conscious spanner in those loops, right? Sounds good, eh? And right here, right now, in this time, in this climate, when we're all in the midst of these, really different set of circumstances, we have the greatest opportunity, yeah? And we're holding that spanner, right? Getting ready to chuck it in. This is providing the greatest opportunity for emotional transformation, and it's right here, right now. And I'm, getting goosebumps all over because it's like I've been waiting for it. Yeah, I've been waiting for it. We've had such huge advances in technology, right? In transport, in medicine, in science. Yeah, huge advances in all of those areas. And parenting, raising the future generations of our planet hasn't really shifted. Yeah, it hasn't really shifted a lot. Hang on a minute, I hear you say, I parent very differently. Yeah, because I've definitely heard that before. And I agree. Yeah, I agree. And often we've gone from one end of the parent model spectrum to the other. Yeah, and give me a wave, give me a comment if this resonates with you. From the more authoritarian power over domination and control, fear-based parenting models, to the other, out of reaction. Yeah, because so many of us were in those models, yeah, where there was a lot of fear used, there was a lot of control. We did what we were told, right? And to the other side of that, the complete opposite end of the spectrum, out of reaction, to the free range parenting, the free spirit parenting, attachment parenting, earth mother parenting, that is the other side of it. We're still in this duality of reaction and application, and how do we find our way into the middle of that? That's where I was getting really, really curious, really interested in and really curious about. Not just the fear-based parenting or the light, fluffy side of love reaction to it, but this place in the middle, this place in the middle. And I feel that, the world is shifting so fast. Yeah, okay, we may be on a giant pause button. Someone else has activated another pause button. But parenting, really needs to shift with it. Yeah, and right now is our chance. Right now is our chance. Because parents out there are really struggling. Yeah, they're really struggling with this completely different set of circumstances because all, and I'm speaking for parents everywhere out there, this is shining a light on our parenting. Yeah, it's shining a light on the way that totally, I hear you, Moni. I've tried to find the balance as well, and that's exactly what I'm sharing. this set of circumstances that we are all in right now is shining a light on our parenting, yeah, and it's showing us where we're not free in our parenting, where we don't have freedom in our parenting, where we are using mechanisms that may not be serving us when our kids are away. If we're only finding space for ourselves, time for ourselves when our kids are away, or if we're just not looking after ourselves, when our kids are around. There's all of these aspects of the way that we parent, and this is the way that we parent our own child as well, are starting to come up to the surface, because a lot of us are being invited, I'm going to say it that way, to pause, to pause, and to really take stock and to stop moving around so much. And when that happens, a lot of our stuff starts to come up and say hi. So what can we do? Yeah, what can we do as parents out there in the world, and what can we do to in this set of circumstances that we're all finding ourselves in right here and right now? We can get some training, right? We can get some training. I mean, these days you have to have training, or you have to be certified, or you have to have a qualification for pretty much everything, right? Pretty much everything. I mean, in New Zealand, you have to have a license to have a dog, right? You have to have a license to have a dog. And as parents, we don't need to do that. We just get a man and a woman, and you just get them together, and well, you know the rest if you are a parent. You know the rest if you're not a parent as well. We don't have to do anything, and this is the really interesting part, because when I think about it, if you wait until you're up to, maybe 30-ish before you have kids, the parenting model that you're actually using is 30 years old, right? And when I had thought about this a little deeper, just to playfully kind of offer an example, it was like, if I went to a dentist and I learned that his textbooks, or the way that he got qualified was using textbooks that were over 30 years old, I don't think I'd let him put his hands in my mouth. What do you reckon? I don't know. What do you reckon? I mean, it's a playful way to sort of look at this, because our parenting is based in the past. And I get it, right? So many parents say, well, we'll just do what comes naturally, when they've got those rose-tinted glasses on. And, mine were seriously like the rosiest rose you could ever get. And I thought I was just going to do it naturally. I'm just going to do what comes naturally. And how natural is your natural when it's based on your subconscious programming? And that's what I find really, really interesting. When it's based on these cycles, from the past. When it's based on your mum and dad, and their mum and dad, and their mum and dad. How natural is that? So, our natural is actually the normal we inherited from the behavior that was modeled to us by our parents, right? Which was which was their parents' normal, and their parents' normal. So there we see the cycles, right? And right now we're at one of the the greatest crossroads of all time, right? And are we going to return to normal? Hi, Johnny. And this is something that's been sort of making its way across social media and all across Facebook and all the other platforms, I'm sure, around normal. Are we going to return to normal? Or are we going to find our own natural? Because that's what I'm interested in. Does what becomes available in the absence of what was normal? That's what I'm interested in. And to do that, what do we do to do that? How do we get to that point? We've got to let go of the resentment. That's the first piece. And it's the first piece that I had to do in my own journey as a parent. We all parent from the past. And our parents were doing the absolute best that they could do with the tools that they had. Just like us. They were doing the absolute best that they could do with the tools that they had. And their tools were a lot more limited. So in terms of, our capacity to have different ways of doing things, our capacity to access different knowledge It's huge. Where our parents couldn't be sitting here in my living room with me, receiving information through a broadcast that's going globally. Our parents didn't have access to that knowledge. So, yeah, true, there is no normal, there's no reality, only perception, absolutely. And it's absolutely the way that we look at things and the way that we perceive things. So I totally agree. So our parents, they were doing the best that they could. They were absolutely doing the best that they could. So, there's absolutely nothing beneficial in terms of holding on to resentment around our parents' parenting. Yeah, absolutely none. And, and the generational lines before them. It's just, it keeps us stuck. It keeps us in judgment. Yeah, and that's the next piece that I wanted to talk about. Letting go of the resentment was the first piece. And when I could actually let go of the resentment that I held for my mum and realize that she was doing the absolute best that she could with the tools that she had, our relationship has deepened, so beautifully. And some of the stuff that she shares with me now is incredible. And it's the depth of vulnerability and sharing and, connection that we have in our relationship is due to that letting go of resentment, absolutely letting go of that resentment and coming to acceptance. And letting go of the judgment is a huge part of this. I'm just going to get some water because we must stay hydrated. So much yes. I hear you. So letting go of the judgment. Parenting based on the opinions of others. Yeah, so many parents, there's so much judgment out there. Even in our lives when we're not parents, there's so much judgment out there. And, I remember offering this piece to a workshop full of parents, and I said, all judgment is self-judgment. And they were like, what? What do you mean? How can you say that? There's judgment coming from everywhere, and it's all around me, and I feel it from my mother-in-law and my sister, and it's everywhere. And all judgment is self-judgment, because otherwise you just wouldn't care. You wouldn't care what someone thought. And I love to use this playful example of if someone came up and called me and said, "Oh, you're Mary." "Yeah, you're Mary." I'd say, "No, I'm not. I'm Jacqlin." No, you're Mary." "No, I'm Jacqlin." "No, you're Mary." "No, I'm really Jacqlin. It says on my birth certificate." And it's really interesting because I sort of say, just because he thinks I'm Mary doesn't make me Mary. Yeah? Just because somebody thinks I'm a bad parent doesn't make me a bad parent. Yeah, judgment is a really, really interesting thing. Because unless there was a part of me that was secretly thinking that I was Mary or that I was a bad parent, I just wouldn't care. It would just go over my head. It would be water down my back. I just wouldn't care. So when I say this, it's like it's been a really, really important piece in my own journey around all judgment being self-judgment. And the other piece is that, judgment is such a gift if we choose to see it that way. And this is coming back into the perception. It's like, I remember getting so triggered and judging a woman when I was first at a retreat. And I often tell this story because there was this woman at this retreat and I'd never been to a retreat before. So this was all new to me. And she was shaking all over the place and she was moving her body. And I was standing there judging her. Like super, super judging her. I mean, I don't think I've ever judged someone as much as I judged this woman. It was like, woo! I'm judging this woman so much. And the reason why I was judging her is because I wanted to be like her. Yeah? She was free and I wasn't. And that's the gold. Yeah, that's the gold. That was the piece that was inviting me to see that part in myself that wasn't free, because I wasn't at that stage where I could move around and dance and shake my body and make big sounds and, have freedom like that of expression. I wasn't in that place, so I judged her. And what it did was it led me, not right away, because I certainly didn't get that awareness right away. I got it much later, and thank goodness I did. It brought me back to a place where I found in myself that, I wanted that freedom for myself, and I found it, which is great. But it meant that I had to let go of that judgment, or let go of the judgment that is coming from others, and find that place where I could mine for gold, where I could learn more about myself. And that for me is the gift that judgment can give us. And the other piece around judgment that I wanted to offer was that there's no point in judging other people. There's absolutely no point. Because if you lived their life with their parents, received their conditioning from their environment, you'd be making exactly the same choices as they are. Yeah? So there's no point in judging other people because they're all a reflection of their own individual unique circumstances. Yeah, their own individual environment, their own individual conditioning, subconscious programming, which we've been talking about, through this whole talk. So bye judgment, right? It's a goner. I'm just going to see what Moni is saying. That was the hardest thing for me growing up. Letting go of the resentment and judgment. Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's super, super hard. I think it's one of the most destructive and toxic layers of consciousness that we're all part of. Yeah, we're all part of. I thought I was broken because of it. Yep, who my father was. I learned a long time ago not to care what others thought. And it is such a gift, When we don't give a damn what anybody else thinks, that is freedom. That is the absolute freedom that anybody could have, because nothing anyone says or does can touch you. Yeah, it's absolute freedom. So, unless we're using, this judgment, this as a tool, as a way to learn more about ourselves. Yeah, as an awareness. Yeah, as an awareness. To mine for gold. Yeah. That's absolutely the best gift that judgment has ever given me. Because we all do it, yeah? It's a natural part of being human. Yeah, we all do it. It's part of all of us. And I remember watching an awesome video by Matt Kahn, and he was saying exactly that. We all do it. And if we can find lightness around it and ownership around it, even better, yeah? And then we can start to use it to mine for gold. Then we can start to use it to learn more about ourselves. Moni, you're saying I was destined to hurt others, but then realized I am whoever I create myself to be, and that the only person I had to impress was myself. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing, guys. So true. So the next part, and that's going to come into what you're saying, Moni, is losing the perfectionism. Ooh, yeah, this is another goodie, yeah. So we've got resentment, we've got judgment. Let's nail perfectionism, because that was definitely a massive part of my journey, because the ego loves to be right. Yeah, it loves to be right. It loves to be right about everything. It loves to be right about, how messed up we are. It loves to be right about how wrong we are. Because us humans are terrified of being wrong. Yeah, terrified of being wrong, because the ego loves to be right. And I think you've mentioned it in here, Moni, is that, there's no right or wrong way. Yeah, there's no right or wrong way to parent. One person's perfect parenting is another person's worst nightmare. Yeah, they're just so incomparable. It's just, apple and oranges. And there's no right or wrong way in life either. Yeah, it's simply what is happening. I know this would have been spoken about a lot. And the way that I love to kind of understand this and articulate it, discuss around it, is that, sure, some things are less ideal than we'd like them to be. They have impacts, they have benefits, and they're not wrong. Yeah, they're not wrong, because if we add that wrong energy to it, that invites judgment, yeah, and stuckness, and the heart, right? The heart, which is the place that my children, yeah, invited me to find, doesn't care. It doesn't care about right and wrong. It doesn't care about perfection. It doesn't care about judgment. Yeah, and when I talk about the heart, which I just kind of dropped in pretty suddenly, it was because I really wanted to be a heart-centered parent. I really wanted to be a heart-centered parent, and I really didn't know what that meant. I didn't know anything about being a heart-centered parent, and I really wanted to understand more about that. And the heart exists, in at the core of all of that, all of this judgment and perfectionism and right and wrong and all the dualities that we experience in life. The heart is at the core of that. It doesn't matter about it doesn't care about any of it. It doesn't engage in any of it. And this is the thing that I love about, the heart in terms of parenting, is that, my children invited me to find that place so that I could love them through their behavior, so that I could love them through what was going on, so that I can still be in a place of love and still be in a heart-centered place through all of what's going on. And that is losing all of this other crazy business around perfectionism, around resentment, around judgment that exists all, outside and around the heart. And when we find our place in our hearts, when we find that place in our hearts, we can, we're invited to see our children as the unique spirits that they are. The unique spirits that they are. And this is the internal children and the outer children. These little beings, the outer children I'm talking about, and the inner children, that are gifted to us to show us our patterns, our stories, our beliefs, and invite us to grow past them. Invite us out of the constant thought processes of the head, out of the constant doing that happens out there in the world, which we're now finding or have been gifted a way to pause. And into our hearts, into the being, rather than the doing. And our children, the ones that we bring into this world, the physical ones that we bring into the physical world, and the ones that exist inside of us, who invite us to see, that we're not broken. We're not broken. We don't need fixing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with us. And this was a big one. There's nothing wrong with our lives. There's nothing wrong with our bodies, our behavior, our parenting, the way that we live. That it's all part of this incredibly rich tapestry of human experience that we're all part of, that we're all navigating, that we're all in the midst of. It's all part of this experience. And yes, some aspects are more or less ideal, or more or less desirable. They're more impactful, or more beneficial. Yes, and they're not wrong. And when we can lose that wrong energy, when we can lose the judgment, when when it falls away, when it's no longer present, when it just melts away, when we can finally see and feel and understand, and have acceptance, acceptance. And from that place, yes, so much yes, what he's saying. And from that place, that place of acceptance, we have so many more choices available to us. So much more becomes available to us, because when we find ourselves in that place of acceptance, it's the platform for change. Because being in a space of self-judgment, being in a space of any guilt or shame or anything that is holding us, stuck. We're stuck. We can't move. There's no platform out. Acceptance is the space. It's the space for, a platform for change. It's the platform for transformation. It's going directly to the root. Not just, playing around in the symptoms of everything that's going on. Directly to the root, back to the child, back to the core. And if we, the way that I speak, the way that I share, is that if we change the way that we parent our children, the inner and the outer, our world will change. Our world will change if we change the way that we parent our children. If we can lift out of this duality, out of application and reaction, we can find balance, we can find authenticity, we can chuck a big old spanner in the cycles of the past, we can do that, and we can parent in the present. And those are the pieces that I really, really wanted to share, that have been such, so impactful in my journey, so significant in absolutely transforming the way that I relate to myself, to my own child, the way that I relate to everybody else around me, the way that I relate to my children, the way that I relate to the world, to the planet. And now I choose to do that as my work, and it opens up the whole universe to you. Yes, absolutely. So what I would love to do, gold, yeah, this is beautiful. Thank you so much for joining into my little talk around parenting. This is it's such a significant piece that I know that a lot of parents understand, because we're in the midst of it, and when I understood this in terms of life, when before I became a parent, this stuff is completely valid. We are all parenting all of the time. We're all parenting in the relationships with every single aspect of life. And those are the bits that I really wanted to share today. And what I would love to do with all of you that are still watching, because I think the most significant way, and it brings me back to the way that I started this talk, was my journey into embodiment. And there have been so many incredible offerings, through the body and within this summit. And for me, it's like the missing piece in terms of the way that we are accessing the body. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate you so much. I feel like you're speaking out of my head. I've heard that a lot, and it's it's so true. So finding my way out of my thought processes, finding my way out of that the subconscious programming that was just hijacking and sabotaging every aspect of my life. And the way that I did that was through embodiment. It was through finding my way into my body, and out of my head. And the way that I did that was through the heart, And I did that through loads of different ways. I did it through dance. I do it through shaking practices, through breath work, through all of these other, this incredible range of modalities and practices that we have available to us. I found it through play. I found it through play, and I use play all throughout everything I do these days. And it in terms of my parenting, just dropping into playfulness, finding a way to offer everything with lightness, with joyfulness, with playfulness, with silly accents, with just being a bit of a dick, really. And that's why as soon as I saw Claire Elizabeth Dee's video on the conscious guru, it was just like, yes, that's the energy that I feel is really just going to completely project us into a different reality, a different way of being. So playfulness is a massive part of that, and the other part is the heart. It's through meditation, it's through practices that just bring me into this space here. So as a way to finish this little session, I would love to invite you into your heart. So if this is not a normal practice that you do, it was shared with me from my mentor. And it's a very, very simple practice. You can do it anywhere, you can do it anytime, you can do it from, a few minutes to hours and hours. But I would love to give you a little taste of a heart meditation that I use every single day. And I use it with my children, I use it with my, other members of my family, and I use it with the men and women that I work with in my job, in my work as a parent mentor. So right here, right now, wherever you are in the world, it has been incredibly beautiful to share some of what I do with you, some of the insights and the learnings that I've experienced and come to and discovered and revealed through my own journey and my work with other men and women. I would love to invite you to close your eyes. I would love to invite you to find a comfortable position. So wherever you are, whether you're sitting down, whether you're lying down, whether you're sitting at the table, hopefully you're not driving your car. I'm sure that many of you won't be, because we are inside our homes. Some of you may be on the way to the supermarket. If you are, then maybe you could take a little detour and stop by the side of the road momentarily. So finding a way, finding a moment to find the breath. So just simply bringing awareness to your breath. And the breath has such a gift of tethering us to the present moment, the moment right here, right now. And it invites us into balance, the inhale and the exhale. So taking a moment to allow the breath and observe the breath. Just coming in through the nostrils and out through the nostrils. And in through the nostrils. And allowing your exhale to come out of the mouth if that feels good. And allowing a sigh or a sound to be released with it. Simply because that feels good too. And allowing the exhalation to lengthen. It's dropping us into the parasympathetic sphere, even deeper. Our body's relaxation station. The rest and digest. Allowing the body to pause. So taking a moment to feel your connection to the earth, whether it's through your feet, your sit bones, your ankles, whether it's the whole back of your body, just feeling into that connection between you and the earth. And feeling the support, feeling the grounding. Allowing yourself to be held. And for a moment, bringing your awareness into the mind and using the incredible power of your visualization, your imagination, allowing yourself to see an elevator or a lift in the center of your mind. And seeing yourself as the doors open, stepping across the threshold of this elevator, walking inside and turning around as the doors gently close behind you. And along with all of the thoughts that have been crossing through your mind, allowing yourself to descend from the mind towards the heart. So feeling the elevator begin to move as it goes down past your forehead, and the back of your eyes, the back of your nose and your lips. Just feeling the gentle movement, the gentle descending down of this elevator, down through the throat, past the collarbones, and gently observing as you within this elevator comes down into the center of your chest, your energetic heart space. And as you feel the elevator gently come to a stop, you see the doors gently open in front of you, and you step out across the threshold into the room that houses your heart. And take some time as you're resting, pausing in the physical world, to explore and observe and get curious about this room that houses your heart room. It is there, available, a sacred space that you can visit whenever you choose to. Just simply noticing what's present in the space. Noticing how it feels. Does it feel warm or cool? Is it light or is it dark? Is it spacious? What are the textures, the colours? Simply noticing how it feels to be in this space, inside the room that houses your heart. And as you're taking all of this room in, noticing what's on the walls, on the floor, on the ceiling, you notice that there's a chair in the center of the space. And this is your heart chair. And walking towards this chair, coming in and allowing yourself to sit, to get comfortable in this beautiful chair, however it takes shape. Whatever the colour is, whatever the texture of the fabric is, whether it's firm, whether it's cushy or squishy, whether it's got cushions on it or fluffy blankets, just noticing what's there. And it may come to you in images, or it may just be sensed through feeling. And then as you look down, you realize there's a lever on the chair. It's one of those really cool lazy boy chairs that you might remember from your past. As you reach down and pull the lever, your back gently descends as your feet rise up with the footrest. To the point where you're almost horizontal in the energetic center of your heart room. So taking a few moments, a few breaths, a few more pauses to absorb this incredible space, however it's shown up for you. Just allowing the breath to come as it does. Allowing whatever you're sensing to be sensed. And taking these moments and in a moment I'm going to ask you to open your eyes. So wherever you're finding yourself in this moment in your physical body, allowing your eyes to really gently open. Just very, very gently and very slowly allowing your eyes in the physical world to open. Just looking ahead of you. Just taking a moment to notice what you see, how you see. And then when you're ready, allowing the eyes to close again. Going back into your heart space, into your chair, into your heart room. And the breath deep. And then taking a few more breaths in your heart chair. And knowing that this space is always here for you, always available, whenever you need it, whenever you feel to come. And taking one more deep breath all the way down, deep into the belly, as you begin to allow your fingers to wiggle, your toes to wiggle, allowing your awareness to come back into your body, into the room that you're in, allowing your eyes to really gently, very, very gently and slowly open. Allowing yourself to come back into your physical space. And taking a deep breath in now that you're back. So, whenever I do that process and whenever my mentor Keith Mason took me through that process for the first time, he said to me, "Can you imagine parenting from that space? Can you imagine living from that space?" And at the time, I don't think I could believe it because it was so foreign. It was such a foreign space. You know, I thought I was a heart-centered person, but I really had no idea. So that is a very simple meditation. You know, no bells and whistles, just simply finding your heart space within. And that was the piece that I wanted to finish on. That was the piece that I wanted to share. It's one of the daily practices. Yeah, one of the practices that I have daily in my life as part of my core. You know, my core practices. Not the practices that come on the outside of everything else. Yeah, not the ones that come on after work and after family and after parenting and after children. It's the core of my world. So that's what I wanted to finish on. If you would like to reach out to me in any way, please do. As I said, I'm a parent mentor from Auckland, New Zealand. I absolutely love what I do. I'm surprised I haven't talked for longer because it's my favourite topic. I 100% absolutely, no question, believe that if we change the way that we parent our inner children and our outer children, the world will change. And we're in the midst of that change right here, right now. And we have an incredible opportunity to do something different. And it is beautiful to be part of this incredible summit that is doing just that. So I'm sending you an incredible amount of love, of compassion, of deep understanding, of total embrace of what it is to be human. in utter acceptance. And I hope you have an incredible rest of the day. I hope you have an incredible rest of the summit. The closing ceremony will be happening later on today. And I hope you enjoy the festival that is to come afterwards. And I hope you, like me, are sitting in this space of excitement of what's to come, of what is going to be birthed out of this set of circumstances that we are now in. Just reading your comments. So sending lots, so much love out to you all. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for being part of this summit, this incredible group of people. Share the summit, share it with all of your friends. I shared it with my entire friends list. So I invited 1,300 people or something. So share. Share the love, share the support, share the wisdom, share the consciousness, share the doing something different. Right, I'm going to sign off now. Much love to you all. Bye.